What's up? It's ASTROVILLE. This is episode 6, I'm pretty sure. And before we go in today, I'd just like to say I'm very honored and blessed to have the kind of people that we've had in these conversations. I've been very, very excited to get this particular person on. He's amazing in so many different ways. His personality, his love for people, for art and beauty, and his voice. Once you hear his voice, you're never going to go back. You'll never turn back. You're always going to want to hear this voice. We need to get him in cartoons, you know, playing the voice actors. We need to get him. He's already singing. He's already putting music out there. And we'll link you up with this music. It is SANTii, Eric Santos.
What's going on, man?
What's up?
I appreciate that intro. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're amazing.
I don't even know what to say. It's funny because, like, sometimes other people see stuff in you that you don't see. And
it's just
I've always
must be Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He must have did something.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I feel the same way when people are like, "Oh man, you're so." I look up to you and stuff. I'm like, I don't know why, but
it blows my mind.
Hey, praise God.
I'm grateful.
Yeah, he's getting the glory.
What's going on, man? What are we doing?
Well, you know, today I wanted to talk about a few things in particular. I'll go ahead and just say it. I don't really know how I feel about Christian music in general.
Oh, good. I love this topic.
Christian rap. Man, I played, I'm not going to drop names here, but I played a pretty famous Christian rap playlist.
Sure.
And I was just not
impressed?
It wasn't that I wasn't impressed. It was just like, I didn't know what I was listening to. Like, it was confusing. Some of it was pretty good. Like, I heard some Bizzle stuff, and I was like, this man is deep.
Yeah, Bizzle's pretty dope.
He's really deep.
Not gonna lie to you.
But then I heard a lot of stuff. I don't even know who these people are, and
they don't even know who they are.
Oh, that sounds about right. You can hear it in the music. Yeah. So, is there such thing as Christian music? What are the standards for it? Like, are we supposed to always be preachy or glorifying God? Can we make music that's just art, that's just beauty from the soul? Or do we have to live according to standards that an industry sets up for us or that the scripture sets up for us?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty loaded question. I would say this. Number one, there were priests biblically. If we just zoom in on the Bible for a second.
Okay.
There were priests that they would just minister to the Lord all day long. There were certain psalms, right, that we read, that were actually sang out. So I would say that there is something about making music for the Lord.
And those psalms weren't always just like, oh, praise God, he's good. A lot of them were like, man, life sucks right now.
A lot of them had a lot of real life in them. And Christian, if we can, maybe we can start kind of broad and then kind of single in a little bit. Good. Christian music in general right now doesn't
Can music be Christian? Like, can you get me, like, hey, here's my friend music.
No, because
tell about Jesus.
I believe this. I think that music is a snapshot of the person who's making it. Music is not its own thing. So it in of itself doesn't exist. It is dependent on who is making it. So it is completely reliant on the creator, and it's a snapshot of where the creator is at that particular time. So that's why if you kind of zoom out to, like, if you want to talk about like Christian music doesn't really know, and this is a very blanket statement. So there are definitely people who know who they are for sure. But Christian music as a whole, if you listen to it, doesn't really know who it is. Do we want to make money? Do we want to sell? Do we want to tour? Do we want to uplift God? It's kind of a soup.
Maybe all of those are motives.
Yeah, but you could tell what's the strongest motive based on and this is where you get into, like, everyone says, oh, don't judge. The Bible says don't judge in the flesh. So by the flesh we're not supposed to judge, but by the Spirit,
right,
we're able to judge based on fruit.
Yeah.
So I don't judge that person's.
Well, we judge all the time. Like if we make a decision between
everywhere.
chicken and steak, like that's a judgment.
Exactly.
So I mean, I think we use that term. That's another one of these terms that we talk about on this show. That's like, yeah, you don't know what that word means.
Right.
If you're saying only God can judge me. No, well, that's not true. That's not true.
Well, and if that was true, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
You know, because he knows your thoughts and your intentions down to the. And
then he gave us an extension of, hey, you remit sins, they're remitted.
Yep.
So it's like we do have the authority to judge. Everybody has the authority to judge. It's just how are we judging? Because he said, don't judge lest you be judged. Meaning like the same judgment that you give is the same judgment you get.
Absolutely.
But we are supposed to judge.
And you can't live without judging. You have to make a judgment call.
Every decision.
No, it's what you judge. It's how you judge and it's what you judge. So that being said, music is so you ever hear the saying art imitates life? Music is part of the arts. Music is an expression of life. So there's actually a sect, not sex, but a sect of Judaism that believes that Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That what actually happened was God sang the earth into existence. That's what separates them from like mainstream Judaism. I don't know what it's called. I'd have to get back to you on that. But it's very fascinating.
I mean, why not? If he's going to say it, might as well sing it if he's that
They
amazing
know that
and
the
beautiful.
universe makes vibrations.
It does.
It has a pitch, not just a random vibration, but an actual pitched
it's
vibration.
5 something.
I honestly
don't remember exactly what it is, but
and there's
another
different
one.
things that have like water has vibration.
Yes.
Everything has vibration. Rocks and it just depends whatever frequency they are, and they actually make noise. I mean, it's not just
because everything is vibration. Everything is vibrating particles or waves simultaneously.
Exactly, but it's also pitched, like, which is interesting because some audio is so fine that you can't distinguish what note it is, but it's like this is like. It's fine pitched. I don't know how else to say that, but it's very fascinating when you think about music and the way that it affects a human being. It can change your mood.
Physiologically,
all of it. I mean, it could change your mood like that. It can put you in a mood like that. It can make you think. It can make you not think. Let's just hone in on Christianity. There's some people I know right now, they cannot read the Bible without putting on some type of ambient pad or like a worship song. That's just how they do it. Like they have to have some type of music. That's how they connect. It's very interesting. That's
interesting.
You have a lot of people now that will go to church specific. Like it used to be like people go to church to follow their favorite pastor. You'll find a lot of people now, they go to church for like
the band
music. Yeah, the music's awesome. I hear that a lot. Oh, the music's awesome. So I go here. It's just interesting thing. So I mean, Christians, right? It's always interesting when you talk about Christians in general and Christ followers, God followers, because you always have this I don't know if you want to call it a juxtaposition or if you want to call it, it's just like a battle almost. You have this thing, this tension of you're supposed to be holy, so you're supposed to come out from among them and be holy. And then also on the other hand, like you're not trying to be weird. Like there's a weirdness that's not.
Oh yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Because the Holy Spirit gets weird, but there's a weirdness where it's just like, okay, like you're forcing it, like you're trying too hard. So there's always this battle and this legalism, if you want to call it that, of like being so hammered and like pointed that you almost have no freedom. So we're in this tension, like we want to be holy, and we also want to not be so like dogmatic that we force boxes on people, because God is free. You know, whom the Son sets free indeed, it's for freedom that Christ set us free. Like that's what we you know, that's part of living in Christ, is being free. So we always battle. There's always this tension, and I feel it every time I make music, to be honest with you. And it's almost like the holy meter. Like, is this holy enough? Did I say Jesus enough times? Do people know? And there's a moment where I just kind of stopped caring about that, so to speak, because God knows my heart.
Yeah.
And I believe, number one, people make time for what they care about, and people talk about what they care about. I believe that you'll know what someone cares about by what they talk about. So if they talk about da-da-da-da-da, that's what they care about. If I talk about iced tea a lot, like, dang, this guy really likes iced tea. Well, how do you know that? Because he talks about it a lot. Same thing with musicians. What do they talk about? Listen to what they talk about. That's what their
the overflow of their soul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's interesting, because I went through some phases in my musical area of life when I was younger, a teenager, just like straight Christian rap. I didn't even like music when I was growing up, which is really weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard a couple of people say that too.
Yeah. I mean, then I found,
What's that like?
I think it was mostly because I wasn't exposed to anything that I felt like I could connect with. But there came a point where I started listening to some stuff like Audio Adrenaline way back in the day. And
which is like
then I started hearing some Christian rap, and I was like, this is strange. Some of it's really cool. Like Lecrae first album, Real Talk, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is very interesting. Like, I like where this is going. And so I made some Christian rap, and, you know, I was just a kid. It was dope for the time, but I mean, hey, you know, I look back and I don't want to listen to that. But it's weird because some of the stuff I say in there is like mad prophetic.
Why don't you want to listen to that?
Mostly because I wasn't a producer back then, but I was producing.
Got you.
So
you feel like you evolved.
Right. So it's like I can hear everything I did wrong, but at the same time, I'm appreciating it. Like, for instance, the opening to Astroville, not the pre-roll beat, because that's from like a couple years ago. The intro to this and the outro are as old as I was when I made them. Today, they're as old as I was when I made them. So it's like, how the heck did I do that when I was like 14, 15? That's a little crazy.
I get it.
But, you know, sometimes there's just some magic in it. You know, that's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you mean.
So
there's something to that. Yeah.
And then in my late teens and early 20s, I'm like, I don't even know who I am. Like, I got to figure out this life and how I fit into this world.
Right.
You know, and so I for a while, it was like I wasn't really making music. I gave all my stuff away, all my production stuff. I gave it away, and I was like, you know, let me I started learning the guitar at 15, so I was like, let me just play guitar and write stuff like that. And what came out of that season was some rock and roll indie type stuff that was just way outside the box. And even like I might still put some of it out.
Sure.
But I always wanted to play with a band, and I never could find a group that we all like meshed. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
So it came to the point where I was like, I put music down, and then this I was with my wife in Orlando, and we were in this gallery. Like, we went into Starbucks, and it turned into an art gallery.
Oh, wow.
Downtown. And I was like, this is interesting. And so we were walking through there, and it kind of ended in a hotel. And there was this big piece, like central, right? On a easel.
Yeah.
So, and I was looking at it, and it was of like a sunrise or a sunset. I couldn't tell. I think it was a sunset. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I know whoever made this is filled with the Spirit of God.
So you could just tell.
I could tell just by looking at the painting. I'm like, this is, I feel the life in it, you know?
Interesting.
I'm like, man, this is so crazy. And then so we're just staring at it. And there's a few guys next to me talking. And I'm telling my wife, I'm like, man, I wish I could ask. And then the guy's like, why don't you ask him? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, how do I get a hold of him? And he's like, well, he's standing right there. I'm like, no way. So I start talking to this guy. I'm like, let me see your ID. I don't think this is you. Yeah. So he was like, you know, I don't really operate in spiritual gifts, and I don't really do this often, but you make art too, don't you? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, the Lord wants you to know that he didn't give you that gift for you. He gave it for the people that you're going to impact.
Mhm.
And I'm like, whoa. So that kind of like moved me into a place of like, I had enough of making music for the beauty and the art.
Sure.
Now it's like, I want to make music that's going to glorify God.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't want to go into the weirdness, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like there's an expression, like when we try and fit our art into what the times are expecting,
Sure.
what the Christian rap industry is expecting, or what the secular rap is expecting. It's
Sure.
like you try to fit into that box, and then it's like it's the same. You might as well not have made it because it's no different than all the other stuff.
That's true. If you look at the, there's different levels of success, right? I would say probably if we're talking about like where we're at now in culture, I would say the best example of this is probably Kanye, right? And granted, he's had 10 plus years, you know, almost 20 years of solid musical background and musical hits. You know, he made hits, he produced, like he's got his own hits. Like, barring that, the innovation from him, I believe, comes from the fact that, number one, he doesn't care, and he's big enough and free enough where he doesn't care. Number two, people like it's so funny because I mean, everybody has an opinion about what he's doing or what he's not doing or how he did it or this and this, but the point is you followed it. It and listened to it.
Did you like Donda?
I thought it was okay. I mean, the innovation comes from the fact that, number one, it's just a black album cover. It's just a black screen, nothing. All the features, he has no features, right? He's got tons of features, but they're not named, right? And he could do that. Why? Because he's Kanye.
Like Life of Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's tons of it. I mean, he's got tons of features on the album, but you don't know because they didn't list them, which is very peculiar.
Yeah, it is. People were that interested in working with him that they didn't care if they got credit.
They didn't care. They probably got paid good as well. But I mean, because he had Lil Baby, he had Chris Brown, he had, I think he had Tytus, he had Jay-Z. I mean, come on, man. Like, he had names on that. But you don't care because it's Kanye. You expect it to be different, and it's different. And some of it is almost, how can I put this? He almost has to do minimal effort sometimes and just be different. You feel what I'm saying? Like, he sometimes doesn't even have to try, and people just go, "Oh my gosh!" Like, just the stuff that he does. I just think it's interesting because he's free to do that. But to a new artist coming up that didn't have almost 20 years in the game, like, they wouldn't be that free. And if they were, nobody listens to them.
And another thing about it is it's hard to fully express yourself if you're not a producer too. Like, if you're just a rapper or a singer, it's like you only get half of the vibe to the song. Maybe that. Yeah. Because the producer it's a big deal.
It is.
That you're making music that comes from your soul. And if half the music, the instrumental, doesn't come from you, then it's like you got to kind of make a hybrid of the art that you're attempting to make.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's one of those things, it's an interesting thing. So I was thinking about this the other day. It was like, you know, I was kind of being liberated in a sense of this because now switching kind of back to that more Christian mode, like you have this thing where you want to fight the pride, right? You want to fight the pride. You don't want to have the wrong motives. You want to do it for God, all this stuff.
Right.
But it's like, dude, what chef cooks the greatest meal ever and then hopes nobody eats it? Like, what painter, what what a contractor builds a house and doesn't want anybody to live in the house. Like, what's the point of the house? You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I just got free, just like, it's okay. Hey, I want people to listen to my music. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. It's okay, Christian, if you want people to listen to your music. If God gave you a gift and you've genuinely sat with him and he genuinely wants to put his glory on display, that's okay. That's like, be free to be okay with that. Like, you don't have to have this false humility of like, well, you know, I'm just not, you know, I don't want to do this for the wrong reasons. Like, dude, like, you don't cook and then throw it away. You don't, you know what I'm saying, throw it in the trash. Like, nobody makes a song and then deletes it. Why would you even make the song? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I want people to hear it. Yeah, it's okay. And just being liberated in that way has really helped me.
Well, why do you want people to hear your music?
Because I feel like I have something to say and something to offer, which is not what I see as a common thing. I think most people want to make money, right? If you weren't making money, nobody would do it. Let's just be real. How many people are really making music because they love the music?
Well, I made it a point that I'm not going to turn a profit from music. If I make money doing it, it's going right back into the ministry pool.
Nice.
The, you know, CGM. So it's like, so for me, it's like, I don't ever have the temptation of like, why am I making this song? You know?
Well, but is it a bad thing to want to get paid for your music?
That's a good question.
That's the question.
We were at this place recently, you and I, separate, and it was a night of worship.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If you want to call it that. It was at one point. Let's put it that way. Let's be nice.
A couple of songs
we'll be nice. We'll be nice.
Very full of.
It was at one point.
Glorifying guys. So, but there was one point in the middle where it was like,
yikes.
It seemed like it was like, hey, glad you're all here.
Yeah.
A captive audience.
Yeah.
And
I can't go anywhere.
I want your money.
Yeah. We can't go nowhere.
Yeah. Like, I'm reading Juiced Mirlu right now.
Okay.
He does a lot on psychology, manipulation of the mind. You know,
interesting.
The one right now, The Rape of the Mind. It's
probably pretty brutal.
Oh, it's pretty. It is. It is. But it was like the tactics that I was reading in that book were like, it's like he read the book and he was like, those are really good tactics.
If I may, I think that, admittedly, even churches do that. Just as a little side note, they put lights up. If you notice, a beat song will get a red, because red is like fiery. A chiller song, like a low key song, will get blue.
Yeah,
blue is more mellow. So it's all manipulation. I've been to countless churches with big lights.
It's so interesting because like even right now, if we could pan back, you'll see it looks crazy outside the frames.
Yeah.
Like we got sheets, you know, lined up. We got this blanket from Walmart over a pretty nice table.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
And we got really great mics, really great cameras, a really great producer. And
shout out.
Yeah, shout out Marissa. This stuff ain't free. You know what I'm saying? Why not? I just do this on my couch at home.
Yeah. Without
the lights, you know, with the camera phone. You know what I'm saying?
You surely could.
I could, but the thing is like, I'm not here to turn a profit. And I want this content to be the best that it can be.
Sure.
You know, because I think we have some really great conversations.
Absolutely.
And so I want people to be able to hear it. You know, that's why we got the audio, right? I want people to be able to see who's talking right in your face. That's why she's on the switchboard, moving between camera to camera. And so, you know, I was talking to my buddy Will the other day, and he was like, if you got to do all this extra stuff in production, is it really about Jesus? And it's like, but I'm like, bro, you're stepping on my toes now, because it's like, I got this whole production set up, but it's not about me.
Sure.
And I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to get famous. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My purpose here is I really want people to think. I want them to think about stuff that's uncomfortable. I think a lot of times people are possessed
Sure.
by systems of thought and ways of thinking, ideologies,
Sure.
possessed as if those were demons,
Yeah.
only because they didn't want to think it through themselves.
Sure.
Because
absolutely.
it's like, hey, I got this whole entire ideology,
Right.
and I'll tell you everything. In this framework, if you think using this framework, life is going to be so much easier.
Yeah.
You're going to have less anxiety.
Sure.
You know, it's just going to completely change your life. And it's like, and then you hear it and it all fits together. It matches. And you're
It
like,
makes sense.
I'm going to use this ideology
Yeah.
from now on.
Right.
But it's like, there's things that don't fit into that framework.
Well, now let me say this: if we're gonna compare apples to apples, this is what I would say as like a fireback to that. So like this, it's all about what you're going for. So I think the reason why it gets interesting as far as Christians are concerned is because what we're going for is supposed to be God. So check this out. Under the framework of God, what you're going for in this is a podcast. Now, you could shoot this on your couch with an iPhone and
Android.
or Android with a crappy mic. And you could do that. But if you look at what podcasting and the framework of podcasting, a lot of people are putting a lot of effort in. So to have that quality, especially out the gate, is important.
Yeah.
In the framework of you wanting to do a podcast. Now, the difference, I think this is where, and you could call this splitting hairs, but I think this is where people kind of get crazy is, if we want to go back to that night is marketed as, so the band is marketed as a worship band. That is the key right there. Because
so they're
we can
showing you what they're supposed.
This is what the main focus is supposed to be. The main focus is supposed to be worshiping God.
Okay.
So your main goal here is to make a podcast, a different podcast. Praise the Lord for that, and I think you'll have amazing conversations.
Yeah. If God gets glorified, cool. I'm good with that. I think it happens, but the purpose is to stretch people's minds.
Well, that too,
and encourage them to speak.
That's your goal, and I think you can achieve that with this podcast. So you're starting this podcast. So within the podcast, there's certain things you have to do within the podcast just to have it be a proper podcast. Now, when we go into the context of worship, that's where things start to get interesting, because if people even get a hint of that the motive isn't pure, because God is pure. And that's why I think even non-Christians, even the secular of the seculars, they will get on you and I as if we're pastors. If they know you're a Christian, they will treat you different in the sense of they will hold you to a higher standard. Why? Because innately you serve a good and a pure God.
And if you say you believe Jesus raised from the dead, that should affect the way that you live.
Exactly. And so now we're bringing that into the context of a worship band. So if I was going to a concert and I was just having fun and it's chill and we're, you know what I'm saying, we're just having fun. It's the if you want to call it this, the vibe is chill, you know, then by all means, no one's going to question your lights. No one's going to question cool video interludes and remixes and this and this and this. But if you're worshiping, that brings a different context to the mix. And so what disheartened me when I was standing in line was my question to the Lord. And this is just who I am. So this is how I process things, because I want to have a genuine relationship with the Lord above anything else. And so what I asked the Lord, because I told you this on the warm up, I got invited to go. I didn't have I want to go. And the reason I went was more curiosity than it was like, oh, I can't wait to see everybody. So when I was in line, I was thinking, are people here to worship God? Are they here to see their favorite band sing their favorite song? And then when I'm in the stadium and certain things happen,
We went to a mob rule real quick.
Yeah, it went crazy. It went left.
I was blown. Like, here's the thing. You got a stadium full of Christians, and they're booing somebody.
Like booing,
like
you're like rap battle booing.
It was
like
bad.
Rap battle booing people. And then we want to get into the arm raised and the praise God. And this is where, if we could take the conversation there, because it all relates. For me, my favorite was, so I was a circuit rider. And
what?
I was a circuit rider. Do you know what YWAM is by chance?
Youth
with a mission.
I
did it. It doesn't matter. They were missionaries. Anyway,
okay, gotcha.
Shout out to them, circuit riders. Love you guys. If any of you guys watching this, super cool. Anyway, point being, one of the guys that started it, Andy Bird, he said this: radical Christianity is normal Christianity. And so it disheartens me when I see people that claim this life, because I just ask, like, in my heart, and I start with myself too, so don't think I'm excluding myself, but I always ask, like, is this what Jesus died for? Are we really living this thing out? And then to see, because here's the truth is, if let's just say you and I, with the status that we have at this current point, if we were like, I'm gonna rent this arena, and we're gonna how many people, and we're gonna worship Jesus. Jesus is the main speaker for the night. We're gonna go for it. How many people would show up?
Probably light seekers.
Probably a couple people that we know. But
because we got nights here that's just straight worship.
That's true.
And it gets packed out. But almost every single time it ends with deliverance.
Happens. But so the point is, we'd have, but we advertised on that scale, Jesus is going to be in the room. How many people would move their schedules? But because we're not known like that, and the sad part is, if we carried the same thing that we're carrying now, but we each had 1 million Instagram followers, we could pack that thing out. But is that really is it really because we follow Jesus and we're radical and people want to worship, or is it because they know us? And this is the tension. This is where it gets tense, because when you start talking about motive and you start questioning people's motive, people don't like that, especially Americans. Americans don't like when you question their motive.
That's the most important thing.
It's everything. Where's your heart at? You feel what I'm saying? And I have to ask myself that. That's something that starts with me and goes onward, and my thing is, like, if you're not supposed to generalize, it's not good to generalize. But what I see, I don't see a lot of people that are radically following after Jesus, that would go at the prompting of the Holy Spirit to a night where they know no one, just so they could worship. If God said, hey, go to Orlando because my presence is going to be there in a very powerful way, I would hope that I would drop everything that I'm doing and go there, even if I don't know a single person there. That's the kind of life I want to live. That's the kind of life I believe I live. And so I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I don't know, and it breaks my heart, because like I feel like we miss so much. And for what? So that you could watch your favorite band. And the thing is, like, how do I, not even, sometimes I don't even have words to say, so I was in the room, like, what's happening? What's going on here? Because they're singing something that should be really powerful, and I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing, dude. So either I'm wrong and I'm off, or something's wrong with me, or I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a almost incredible production.
Sure.
But as far as like...
But is that life? Was Jesus an incredible production? Was Jesus the guy that had the light show and the amazing band with the amazing choir and the amazing, instruments and vocalists and best sound gear around and best instruments that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars? Was that Jesus? And what I see is the less spirit that you have, the more you need coffee shops and bookstores and restaurants in your church and like little things to keep people from like staying. Like, we got to have this and this because there's nothing else for them to have. And like, when God's in the room, when Jesus is in the room, that's all you need, dude. And I'll tell you this, and I'm just asking you straight up, your most powerful encounters with the Lord, at what point in that encounter did it flash through your mind that these lights and this equipment and this production is amazing? It didn't, because it didn't matter. They could have been singing off key. They could have had...
That messes me up sometimes.
A regular stuff. It could have sounded horrible. The guitar could have went out of tune. The drum could have... The cymbal could have fell.
But when the spirit hits, it's like the dimension. You kind of transcend dimensions.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think motive really is everything. I was at this one outreach a while back in another city in Florida. And the people that put it together invited I don't even know, maybe 15 Christian rappers, right? So there was set after set after set. And there was a couple that I was like, this is really, really good. Really, really good. Like, I feel the spirit on this. I know this man's heart is right.
Got you.
Like, from the content to the delivery, Azika.
Yeah.
So, but then I heard some other ones, even ones that came from out of the area. It was just like, all I heard was, please recognize me. Please appreciate me. What I have to say is so much more important than what you could be doing right now. It was like,
interesting.
It was a drag. It was some of it was great. And so Wilkins and I were up there. We were supposed to have a set too. And but we were kind of like ducked behind a wall talking about like something's going on in this atmosphere. And it's about to shift. And so we didn't even rap. He just started preaching. I started playing the guitar. My wife came up and was worshiping, and the whole thing shifted. It seemed like it had turned into an outreach. You know what I'm saying? But it was like for a while it was just kind of a talent show.
Yeah.
And I think actually, to think about it now, that seems like today's Christian rap world is a talent show.
Sure.
At least the industry of it.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that there's an industry of it.
When money gets involved, it's art. See, what I think about art is it's like, how we're talking about things, trying to break them down, trying to understand things. It's like art goes even before philosophy and pulls
in the purest form,
things out of the abstract, and maybe it doesn't fit together, but that's why it's abstract. That's why sometimes the lyrics don't make literal sense. Sometimes that's why you look at the painting and you
have to figure it out.
You have to figure it out. And it's like when you start getting paid for that, now there's expectations. You know what I'm saying? Like,
can be, yeah. Do you know? I don't want to
Yes.
interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
But I haven't told a single soul this. That what we went to, you're never gonna believe. Like, it was, I can't believe that this is what I said to myself. I was shocked. I literally said, this is how I felt, and don't take this out of context because it was enjoyable. So it wasn't a horrible.
Especially being with people that were, yeah.
Absolutely. So I was enjoying myself. But this thought literally flashed in my mind. I was like, maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe I don't want to be an artist, because if this is what it is, and you have to sell this stuff, I don't know. I just don't want to do that.
There's too many strings attached.
I made music because I was so suicidal when I was a kid that I had no other outlet. I would literally in high school, I would literally just walk out of class. I would walk out of class, and my school had a band wing. And in the band wing, there was a guitar room, there was a big orchestra room with a big giant grand. There was normally a grand on the stage, and then there was a grand in the chorus room.
You played back then too?
Not very much, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter how good I was. It didn't matter what I could do or couldn't do. It was therapeutic. It was something that I did to free myself from feeling like I wanted to end my life. And that's where I started falling in love with music.
Wow.
I didn't wake up and say I want to be an artist. I felt the mission before I ever thought about, could I make money off of this? And believe me, I've thought about it. I thought it'd be nice, but like that was never the motivation. The motivation was always like a mission minded kind of thing. Like, there's a purpose to this, which I don't see in a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Like a real purpose, not just like I want to be dope, but like I want to be dope because I want to get put in the room with the king. You know what I'm saying? Whoever that is, I want to get put in the room with the king. But that it made me think, like, is this do I really want this? Because you got to jump through all these hoops. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, do I gotta have some guy come up and beg for money at my show? Like, I don't know. It just, for the first time, I was like, maybe I don't want to go on tour. And I wanted to go on tour for years. I mean, I went on tour already. I want to go back on tour, but like, it's like, man, if this is what it is, I don't know.
So, like, is it appropriate that there are different motives in Christian rap?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think Christian rap hasn't existed long enough. This whole thing of modern day music, I don't think it's existed long enough to really be able to understand.
I don't even understand how it's evolving right now. Like, as far as the way that rap is going in general, it's very strange. Offbeat.
It's offbeat, but if you think about it, music imitates the culture. Like I said, it's a snapshot of the people. So it imitates what's really going on. Life feels a little offbeat right now. Life feels a little chaotic. It feels a little loud and obnoxious. It feels a little repetitive at times. It's all a reflection of.
That's very interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's art. Art imitates life.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, that's how you feel. That's why you hear it. It's a reflection of. It is a mirror, so to speak. It is an audio mirror for how somebody in a moment is feeling, or what they're seeing, or what they care about. And what's interesting is most of the stuff that's mainstream is written by other people. So that's not even your artist, how they feel. That's just.
Yeah, that's another strange thing. There's
very strange.
Like, I don't remember how far back. It was probably about 10 years ago. And there was about two guys that were writing 90% of what was on the radio at that time.
Yep.
2 people.
2 of them.
90% of what was played on the radio.
It's not much more now. I mean, there's more, definitely, but you'd be surprised. It's a handful compared to how many artists there are out there. It's very small.
You think that's connected to a conspiratorial plan?
I think this, like, the devil has a scheme for sure. I think that the scheme is to destroy you. That's the ultimate goal. It's not even enslavement. It's just to destroy you. However he can destroy you, he'll destroy you. So he'll throw anything out. He'll throw a million different baits out. Whatever
because
one you
it's so
snap.
powerful.
It is.
It
It's
is
very
so
powerful.
powerful. Like I was with my wife a couple months ago, and we wanted to go out and do something, have some fun, and we don't really like club. You know, we had all that when we were kids. You know, we had our fun going out, right?
I think I know where this is going, but keep going. I think I know what you're about to say.
Well, we ended up in a place because it was like a game place, right? They had, but like after a certain time, it was a club.
Right.
I didn't realize that was about to happen. So we're
Right.
there playing games, and then it packs out, and then it's just
You're like, what?
a club.
Yep.
I'm like, where am I right now? And the music that was playing, it was so abrasive to my soul that I was like, I really can't stay here. And I could feel the effect of the music, not only on me, but on all the people around me.
Sure.
It was encouraging like a mob type of vibe.
Well,
and I can't really explain
it's made
that.
for that, bud. You know. So think about it. There is the spiritual realm is more real than the physical realm. Like in the sense of there's so much more happening in it.
Yeah. I think this 3-dimensional realm is kind of seated inside that spiritual world.
Absolutely. And we can only process, I mean, if you think about it, we can only see as human beings 3% of visible light. That's 97% that we can't see.
Did you know your body gives off photons? That's incredible.
Exactly. And you can't see it.
Your body produces light.
It's interesting, isn't
That's
it?
very, very interesting.
So what happens is, just like the Spirit of God can be on a song, other spirits can be on a song. And here's the deception. The deception that the enemy gives. See, people forget about how fun it is to be in sin. People forget how fun sin is and how fun the world is. It's fun, dude. Whoever says it's not fun is lying to you. It is so fun. That's why you have to guard yourself against it. Because if not, it just take you over. It is your natural state. Your natural fallen state is to be carnal. It is so natural for you to be carnal and for me to be carnal. It's so easy. It's second nature.
And to be carnal is really a point where you really have to shut out the not understanding of the spirit, but shut off your spiritual antennas.
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
There's a lot of spiritual people that are carnal. They're into some very spiritual stuff. Trust me, I know them.
Well, I think it's harder if you have more of a pure heart, like for believers that really don't want to live that life, you know, then it's like, I don't even know what I was saying anymore. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You're right. I think.
Well, because carnality is it's like you said about the painting, like figuring out.
Oh, conscience. That's
means.
What I mean.
Okay, conscience.
It's like you have to kind of shut your conscience off.
Sort of. I mean, but like you're given, as a believer, you're given a new conscience. So you're walking with the Spirit now. That's why baptism is important. Not to get off on a tangent, but baptism is not just symbolic. It is renouncing the world. It is renouncing the things of the world. It is walking with the Holy Spirit. He is now directly indwelling in you, speaking to you, filling you up. You're living by it. You're looking through the lens of the Holy Spirit.
But there's also seems to be like a tension or a juxtaposition in that walk too.
Oh, for sure, because we're given a promise that hasn't fully been fulfilled yet. We haven't been glorified in Christ yet. Like, we don't have a glorified physical body. We don't have the ability for us to sin hasn't been taken away. We're still dealing with that old, you know what I'm saying? That old man still pops up every now and then.
Old mindsets, old ideologies.
Exactly. And so, but the point is, it's easy to be carnal. It's easy to be worldly, because it's much more simpler.
Just whatever you want.
It's just selfishness. It's just whatever you want, like you just said. It's whatever you want. So it's easy to be spiritual and be selfish.
Live your truth. Absolutely.
And all that stuff. So this is the thing. So if you want to take it into the music sphere, Christian hip hop, I don't think it ever was a thing, but if you want to make it a thing, sure, go for it. I think it's cool that a bunch of Christians want to get together and make music.
We have to categorize things.
If you have to, some people don't.
No, but I mean, as a collective, like, if I want to be like, okay, look, I like this music, but I don't want to listen to only this. What else can I listen to that's similar to this? Then that's where genres come from.
But isn't that in and of itself then almost like, well, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but isn't that almost a contradiction in and of itself? Because if it started then from, I want to listen to hip hop, but I don't like hip hop, so I want something that sounds like hip hop, but isn't really hip hop. Isn't that starting off?
Well, I don't mean really that it's not hip hop. It's just.
But it's not. That's why people don't listen to it, because it's not hip hop.
What is it?
Well, it's everything hip hop isn't about. That's why it's not largely successful.
Right, because I think
the most successful Christian hip hop artists are the ones that stay decently close to what hip hop is, which is authentically communicating emotion and articulating the world around you. That's what hip hop.
I feel like hip hop is also drenched in pride.
Can be, yeah.
Do you think pride is kind of inherent factor in hip hop?
Well, it's just an inherent factor of life. So you're gonna have pride everywhere. I think it's cool because it can, not always is, but it can. Like, to me, people gonna hate me for this. I don't know. I hate when they take like worship music and then add like hip hop to it. I hate that.
Why?
Because that's not hip hop. Like they're trying to. And I get it. I don't want people to stop being creative. I've never found one where it's been great. It's always felt like, because when it's in a worship song, you have to talk about this. You have to stay here, and that's not hip hop. Is the world? It's a worldview. It's a lens. It's a way that you look at the world.
So Christian hip hop is a contradiction.
I would say it's not necessarily a contradiction. I was asking the question earlier if it was or not. I don't know if it's a contradiction, but I think that automatically you're starting from an inauthentic place. You're trying to mash Jesus into an ideology, and that never works with anything. And look at it. It's terrible on a large scale. There's some great artists out there. They're doing great things. No.
How does that happen?
What do you mean?
Trying to mash Jesus into the ideology of hip hop?
No, he's not first. So that's what Christians do.
But what about the
in
ones
general.
that are amazing? What about the Christian rappers that are just like...
They've transcended the need to people please. Christian hip hop has always been this weird hybrid of music and sermons, where they need to preach a sermon in their message, and that's not hip hop. Hip hop doesn't do that. So it's always felt weird. You're trying to take one culture and mash it into another. forcefully, and that never works. You're trying to take one thing and mash it into another, like force it in, force a square peg in a round hole. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I've really been trying to deconstruct my view on genre and just like what it is. Because like God said, I need to start making music again, right?
And there you go.
I'm like, but you see my problem here.
Well,
So
see, it's like look at it how God look at it like this. You're people might not know this. I mean, your family's interracial, yes. God, if you take a vial of your wife's blood, you take a vial of your son's blood, and you take a vial of your blood, nobody's gonna be able to know what race you are based on that blood. It's just blood. Right, so O positive.
How do they figure that out? I thought you.
There's a ton of other things, but I'm sure you can. But what I'm saying is, like if you needed a blood transfusion, they wouldn't go, oh crap, like we're out of white blood. You feel what I'm saying? They're just gonna give you O negative blood or O positive blood or whatever. I forget which one is the universal. I think it's O negative is the.
I have no idea.
No, it's O positive is the universal blood that you can receive. Anybody can receive it. But anyway, they're not gonna siphon through what race gave you this blood. You're just gonna get the blood. You feel what I'm saying? So in the same way, God, I don't believe he. It's not like he doesn't care about race, because if he didn't, then we'd all be the same. But he doesn't care about race enough where it's like these people are special, these people aren't.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't have any racial pride. I think it's really weird. I think even like at the show when they were like, where are my Latinos at? And I was just like, I could half shout right now. But I mean, then I thought about it. What if somebody up there was like, yo, where are my white people at? I wouldn't shout for that either. I shouted
because I was having fun, but I don't like what is it? Hispanic Pride Month or whatever that. I hate that stuff. I can't.
Yeah, like how can you have pride in a race? Like
you
what?
can. I mean, there's a lot of history in that. But here's the thing, though. It's like you kind of have to go off of, because you don't matter, right? Sure.
You didn't choose your race.
Nope.
You have no say in your race. So it's like, well, all you have to go off is the history of the race that you came from.
Mm-hmm.
And can you have pride in the history of the race? But every race has been horrible and great.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's like, what exactly are we having pride in?
Well, and the thing is, people want to belong, right? People want to belong. The reason we have genres, the reason we have race, the reason we have, not race, but the idea of racial pride and country pride, and it's because people want to belong. However much people want to say, oh, I want to be free and I want to do my own thing. Listen, you want to belong. Everybody wants to belong. If that person was in a foreign country that didn't speak any English and they saw another American, they'd run up to that bro. Oh my gosh, I don't know where I am. I can't speak this language. Like, thank God I met. Everybody wants to belong. That is a fact. We are made to belong. We are made for community. Put me in a category, please. That's what everybody's brain says, whether they will admit that or not. We want to matter. We want other people to be like-minded. We want to be in a camp. We want that. That's what we want. And that's what Christian hip-hop tried to do. They wanted to be in their own camp. The thing about the camp that they're in is it's just not authentic on a large scale, because it's got this weird mashup of labels and money and tours and clout. Whenever you start getting clout and fame, it's gonna mess with some people. People start getting popular. Now what?
And music changes a whole lot when that happens.
Definitely can. So I mean, none of it is surprising, but that's the reason I've never really liked.
Are you a Christian rapper?
I'm just a Christian. I don't like that personally. That whole Christian rapper. No.
Yeah.
And people will say, "Oh, you're ashamed." No, it's not. It has nothing to do with that. I'll tell everybody I'm a Christian,
Yeah.
but
It's like, for me, it's like, if you want to put me in that category, I don't have a problem with it. But the thing is, you're going to be let down because there are songs that I've made that aren't Christian rap.
well, I just think that it limits what you think I'm gonna do, and then subconsciously you can't really enjoy it, because there's been artists that make, like, take Mac Miller, his stuff is phenomenal, and he's experimented, and people say it's trash, all of his experiments. And I mean, you could go down the list. There's so many artists that try new things,
Outkast.
but because they're in a rap, they're in the hip hop category. Well, he did that, so he can't make that. It's the limiting factor of, and that's just due to how people think.
Yeah, I don't want to be limited by any of that. I really like making stuff that's unexpected, way outside the box.
Yeah, and there's artists that can get away with that. Just depends
and it's
on.
like, for me, it's like, if I can't get away with it, that's fine, because it'll be on the internet, and maybe 20 years from now, there's a group of people that'll be like, whoa, this was really interesting. Well,
and you know, that's a thing. That's a question. You know, what if nobody hears it?
Yeah, that's true. But I love it though.
I love it too. I think
like the music, the songs, the recent songs that I've made. I'm like, these are amazing. Good. But it's like, I'm not like, oh, I'm so amazing, because it's just like, what happened there? I heard something in my mind and I made it happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I was just kind of cooperating with the spirit.
Well, that's a weird tension too, because if God wanted to make that song outright, then he would have made it. But you made it with him. So it's like, he made it, but he didn't make it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then there's also like, so the album that I'm working on is really different, because it's like, if you hear one song from the first part, you're not going to expect, you would not have any idea how this album is going to turn out. You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
And so it's like, it's more like a season of a TV show.
Sure.
Right?
Never know.
Because it's like, in one episode, you might be in this area doing this thing, but then in this episode down here, you're in a whole different place at a different time with different people involved.
Well, you know, the best TV shows, what they'll do is they'll have an overarching, they'll have plots. So plot A is going through the whole season, and then you'll have your B plot, your C plot, maybe even your D plot, and it just goes down the list. So like, one of my favorite TV shows, Burn Notice. It's called Burn Notice. Okay. It's filmed in Miami. It's fun. It's like a spy show.
Okay.
Interesting. But it did, in my opinion, it did a really good job. Like, so you could come in at any episode, still enjoy it because it had a plot that was just for that episode, but then it tied the story in through the whole season.
That's a difficult thing to do.
Very difficult. Yeah. So they would start it off, and what they would do is they would interject plot A into that episode's story. So it was like, you could literally pick, let's just say you went to season 3, episode 5. You could play that without ever seeing it, still have a good time, right? And then you wouldn't be lost overall. Like, they'd catch you up on what's going on, and then they would propel plot A forward. Yeah. While you'd still enjoy
difficult. That's a very difficult thing to do. And then for me to try and put that kind of a framework into an album or a double album is like, it's difficult, because I got one particular song that's like, if you listen to this out of the context of the album, you wouldn't call me a Christian rapper. You would think it's very dark. You know what I'm saying? Very like,
absolutely.
Whoa, what the heck? Where did I just go? You know, like, I'm trying to get to the depths of the soul. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get to, people die.
Yeah.
And when they die, it's like, what happens inside of you? You're like, if they were close to you, there's a whole shift that happens in your world because a piece of your world is missing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to go there in the art.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Transformations.
Well, then it's like, then you have to ask yourself the question, is your audience going to be able to like pick up on that?
Yeah, that's where it's like, I just got to see what happens, you know? But I've never done anything like this before. So it's a new thing, but I've also never heard an album that plays out like a double movie.
Like two plots in it?
Yeah, like juxtaposing plots.
I don't know, you know, and it's like, are people gonna like really pick up on that? Hopefully they do.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be so different from the first one to the second one that it's like how
did we get here?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah,
I think that'd be fun.
But that's also like the idea of this show. Like, where are we right now? We're talking about some out there stuff.
Sure. I mean, we could get worse if you wanted to.
All right, so let's go.
All right, how far you want to go?
All the way.
All the way. In what realm?
What's been on your mind?
What's been on my mind? Dude, I have a lot on my mind. Let me try and... So this is so, I mean, John 17, right? Jesus prays, and you don't get too many of Jesus's prayers.
Yeah, that's a long one.
But that's the longest one that you get, and it's pretty powerful. And if you think about it, he's talking to the Father directly, and he could say anything. And that's the thing about recorded scripture and what Jesus said is he could have said anything. So why did he say that? Why did he pray for unity? So here's what I was thinking. It's like, scripturally speaking, what I see in the Bible, and I'm no Bible scholar, what I see in the Bible is that elders are elected for a city or a town or a region. So what if you went, let's just take Brevard. If you went around Brevard and said, we're going to demolish every denomination. We're going to take all our names off of the church buildings. We're going to be one church again. And then we're going to elect elders for the region of Brevard County. And the elders can teach and preach and like everything that the scripture says and lay their hands on the sick. And it's a big county. So we need a couple elders.
I stopped going to church for a long time because I read the Bible. And, you know, it's so interesting how we got into this framework in the first place. I mean, I didn't even know the church history, you know, for a long time until I started reading. But
most people don't.
Yeah, the church was very unified up until kind of
there was no name.
Yeah, exactly.
So
what we call now the Eastern Orthodox Church versus the Church of the West, the Catholic Church.
Well, what was really cool about being in Circuit Riders? Shout out to them again. 2 shout outs. What was cool was I remember one of the founders, his wife, she had this vision. She had a dream, and in the dream, she was saying, and this was one of our like staple pieces. Like this was one of the things that we were aspiring and praying into. Is she had this dream, and in this dream there was this musical, and it was called Jesus the Musical. And everybody who participated in Jesus the Musical, when she looked out on the stage, every actor had no face. You couldn't see their face. There was no face on the actors. And the whole point was, it was these nameless, faceless people that came together to make Jesus the Musical happen. And getting back to that, when it was just the church of Ephesus or Rome or this, and there was probably plenty of meeting places within Rome or within Ephesus or, you know, big cities.
But they didn't have memberships.
Yeah, but they didn't have names. You didn't have a name. It wasn't this church or that church.
It was usually the house of so and so.
It was just a church. We all believed the same thing. What happened? What happened? Well, I mean, the apostles died, right? They were a pretty big key. They all got martyred. Church leaders got martyred. And then you started getting, you know, it's just like what happens to anything that you don't tend. If you have a backyard and you don't tend your backyard, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get a bunch of weeds. You're going to have animals. You're going to have all this stuff. Why? Because you didn't tend it. It's the same thing. We didn't tend what was given.
Or I think part of it was we over-tended.
Could be.
I mean, how do people get so frustrated with each other that you got to split into denominations?
Well, you don't read certain parts of the Bible. And you don't adopt the most important. Like Jesus, like it's like we've become those Pharisees that would say you're not supposed to lift a finger on the law or on the Sabbath, to the point where this woman, people are getting healed and they want to kill somebody for it. That's why Jesus got killed, by the way. Jesus didn't get killed because of this and this. He got killed because he was healing people on the Sabbath. That's why he got killed. That is a biblical fact. So their whole thing was, you're breaking the law. You're not supposed to lift a finger on the Sabbath. And Jesus would say, but even you guys will untie your donkeys and let them roam free.
Right. Is the Sabbath a day to do good or to do evil?
Exactly. Point being is that, look, guys, you're going so hard on things that don't matter. You're literally making another religion on things that literally God does not care about. God didn't care if they lifted a finger or if they took the not working thing and they slammed it with all these rules and all this stuff that God had nothing to do with. And that's why Jesus would go and he'd work on the Sabbath. He would go and he'd heal. And he'd be perplexed that people wouldn't understand that. He's like, wait a minute, this woman just got healed. You're going to get mad at that? That doesn't even make sense. And that's where we are as people. It's like the stuff we do doesn't even make sense.
It's like at that.
And to be honest, I'm tired of doing it.
It's like at that concert, if we started going around praying for people, laying hands on people.
I'm sure that wouldn't be super out of place, but they even had alcohol at the place. They were serving daiquiris and shots. You get shots for like $8. $8 a shot. It's pretty expensive.
For where? Where was this?
At the place.
We were just at?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's their doing,
Whoa. But okay. I mean, like for me, here's another little area, because for me, like, that's shocking, right? But
yeah,
I don't really have a problem with drinking. I think the motive is everything.
But that's not the point. Like, the point is not, do you have a problem with drinking? The point is somebody might. You don't know that. It's like that'd be like me putting like a super bloody movie on at a kid's party. Why would I do that? Like, am I inherently evil? Is it wrong? No, but it's too. Why would I want the kids to be exposed to that? It's the same idea. Why would I want to expose people to that? Doesn't mean if they do it in their house or whatever and they want to do that. That's not the point. The point is I wouldn't dangle a carrot in front of the rabbit. You feel what I'm like? Why would I want to give opportunity, especially at a night where we're supposed to worship Jesus, where anything could hinder that? Why would I want that? I wouldn't want that. And I'm not even saying they did it purposely. It might have been the vendor. But yeah. I feel like if I'm going on tour, I would know what's going on at the venue. Yeah. That's just me. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy.
What if we were in Colorado and they were selling pre-rolls? at the vendor too.
I'd have a problem with that if that were my concert.
You wouldn't want people blowing it down.
But like if I'm going, well, it's different if I'm going somewhere where they're gonna let that happen, which I want to do. So that's different. Yeah. If I'm going into that, yeah, absolutely, I want that. Bring it on. Bring the worship of it on. But not like, hey guys, we're gonna have a worship night and then I'm gonna sell weed outside. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's all about the context. You feel what I'm saying? If you get invited to rap at like Rolling Loud, I'm not gonna be mad if somebody is in the crowd rolling loud. But like, I'm not gonna have a worship night and then sell drugs or alcohol or something that would hinder the presence of God when you're trying to be purposeful in that.
What about coffee?
I mean, is coffee like a something that can hinder the presence of the Lord?
I don't know. Will is coming next week, and he was telling me about how much fasting affects deliverance, casting demons out. And he was like, I stopped doing caffeine for like the whole week. It took like half an hour. The week before they were taking like hours. I'm like, that's interesting. That's pretty interesting. And also, like, I remember,
but it is a drug, so I mean, yeah,
it is. Yeah. I used to lead worship at a church, and we had coffee there, and I would slam back a couple coffees.
That's pretty deep, though. That's getting pretty deep. Don't be legalistic now, Zach.
Well, I mean,
I'm just playing.
I know you're playing, but the thing is like,
but that's where do you draw the line? That's the other side of the coin.
Yeah, that's a tough one, and it's like, I think maybe that's why we have different denominations. One of the reasons, because like we all draw the line. Yeah, at but all places.
Of that. See, this is just how I feel. You might fighting over whether we have coffee or not at church is stupid. Making a whole denomination about when you should speak in tongues and when you shouldn't is stupid. It's really dumb. No, I mean, it really is. To the point where you're literally going to leave and you're going to go over there and build your own building. That's just stupid. Is what the Bible says true or not? Then let's follow it. And if we have something when did we lose the art of being able to have different opinions and still being in one accord? You can think differently. I guarantee you that if we talk long enough, we'll disagree on something. But that's not the point. The point is, who unifies us is much bigger than what we disagree on. But if we're not unified in that spirit, then yeah, it's not going to work. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think we're also in the digital world, we're kind of placed or kind of herded into echo chambers. So
explain that. What does that mean?
So it's like, for instance, Will show me his phone. He's like, yo, and then Google is talking about crypto. Because we're talking about crypto.
Yeah.
He's on the app. He goes to Google. He's like, yeah, it's even right here, Shiba Inu.
Yo, I love crypto, man.
And then I'm like, bro, but it's because you were just doing Shiba Inu. Like, that's why it's on your... He's like, for real? I'm like, yes, man. They put the ads there.
They listen to your mic.
They know what you are interested in.
Yeah.
And that's what they put in front of your face.
Yeah.
Because they want you glued to your phone.
Yes.
And it's like, I don't know how difficult the, big tech powers that be, I don't know how difficult they make it for people to get outside of their echo chamber.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely, like, if you talk about like specifically Facebook and Instagram, they were designed to be addictive. That it is all psychological. It is all dopamine hits and likes and comments, and it's all
like,
made.
Why the likes?
Well, it's again dopamine. It is a when if somebody likes your stuff, don't you like it when somebody likes your stuff? Everybody does. That's not a bad thing.
I mean, to me, it feels so empty that it's like I don't take any of these things serious.
I really like people that rant against social media on social media. Yeah. The irony of that makes me laugh. I had a long post. I was about to delete my Facebook, and so I put like 20 reasons why.
And they were really good reasons, bro.
Dang.
Yeah, and then I was gonna do it, and then some people were like, "But come on, man! Like, we need to hear that kind of stuff on Facebook."
Right.
You know, I was like,
I gotta say this, because Christians are the only people that I've ever met that'll do this. I'm fasting Facebook for 2 weeks, or they'll say something like, "Yeah, I deleted Instagram for like 3 weeks, and it was the most freeing thing I've ever done." Then stay off of it. No, seriously, like that's so dumb to me.
But it's like,
I know.
We gotta be tethered to this world, though. But
I'm saying if you're gonna delete it, then delete it. Like, don't go back and forth. And I deleted it for like that's just you feeling good about yourself. Like, you wanted to feel good. If it was that good, then you'd stay off of it forever. You'd just delete it. Just delete it. If you really despise it that much, delete it. It's okay.
But what are you giving up, though?
Huh?
You're giving up an image.
Yeah, but people don't like that. That's the whole point. But don't go back and forth. See, this is where the whole Christian thing, it bothers me, because it's like, dude, let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you're gonna delete it and you don't like it because it tethers you to the world, and I'm not making fun of what you're saying, I'm just saying, I'm sure there were great reasons, then just delete it. And I'm not even talking to you. It infuriates me when people say I'm gonna fast and I'm gonna do this.
But think about my situation for a second, because I've been considering it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I even went to the thing where it's like, download all your information. I got that file and everything. I'm ready to delete Facebook, but then it's like, I can't stream.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really want to be here because I want to talk crap about Facebook on Facebook. Like, I really like that.
Facebook, TikTok.
And then we're going to be on YouTube too. And I'm sure we're going to be breaking, you know, a huge problem with YouTube. This is the biggest problem with YouTube. They have different sets of rules.
Mm-hmm.
They have community guidelines.
Sure.
They have borderline content. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, who determines that? Right. Right. I'm going to read through these rules.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to follow all these rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to say something that's under one of making content that might offend somebody. It's like, what? Okay, so anything. If one person gets offended,
it's just what they want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a huge problem with YouTube. And I'm curious, once these videos upload, if there's algorithms or whatever to,
I'm sure there is.
Figure out what we're talking about. And I've said stuff about vaccines. Facebook doesn't like that either. I don't like vaccines. I mean, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I don't like this vaccine.
Mm-mm.
We're the guinea pigs.
Sure. Absolutely.
Vaccines take 5-10 years to develop. We developed these COVID vaccines in 6 months?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh man. And then all the upper, people, we're not going to.
I know.
If Trump makes this vaccine, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Oh, Biden's president now. Oh, we'll take that vaccine then. We'll take it. I trust it now.
Bah, bah.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, see that, but that doesn't, see, none of that, this is where, like, it doesn't shock me. That doesn't shock me at all. Doesn't shock me. That is human nature. We do that all the time. We have favoritism. We have patriotism, yada, yada, yada. Everybody thinks that they're saving the planet on whatever side they're on. And the truth is, it just distracts us from what's really happening.
Especially inside of us.
But that's why John 17 is so powerful. Because see, the saddest part is a lot of statistics that apply to the United States have mirroring, if not the exact same number statistically in the church. So like divorce rates, America 50%, church 50%. That shouldn't be, man. That should not be a thing. And that's just one example. Porn. We could go down the list of depression. You could go down the list and it's either comparable or exactly the same as the world. How can this be? This is the Church of Jesus Christ.
Accepted the religion of science.
Dude, there's so many answers for that. But see, I'm not even trying to necessarily answer because the truth is, like, to find a counterfeit 100, you don't look for counterfeits. You study the real thing. I just want the real thing, man. We could talk about, and the depth of it is, we could go down the rabbit holes of, dude, we could talk about what the government's doing. We could talk about this, and I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, it's like this. Like, I asked the pastor what I just told you. Like, I said, he said, "What's on your mind?" Just like you said, and my answer was, "Do you really want to know what's on my mind?" He said, "Yeah." So I told him, and you know what he said? That'll probably never happen. So right there, I mean, right there, it's like we all know something's wrong. We read Acts, we read the Gospels, we read what Paul wrote, we read Revelation, and we read all this stuff. We see how everything was, and then we know that what we're doing right now has very little to do with what was going on, but we still do it. That's what blows. And then we say, "Oh, well, it'll probably never change." Why not? Why wouldn't it change? Why?
You know, almost everybody that sits there has a similar point to that of like, yeah, everything's going to hell. Like, haven't you read the end? Like, it's not meant to get better. But there's just something in me that just can't accept that. Like, why?
What
like,
is
why
better?
are we
Define
still
better.
here? Like, if we can't go back to how it was supposed to be as a people, the church, if we can't get back there, why are we still here?
I agree with that. The world will get worse. Why do we have to get worse? Where did it ever say the church was supposed to get worse? It never said that. My Bible says in times of famine, the righteous man will have abundance.
I think the big issue is, you're right. Everybody wants to save the world. Everybody wants to change the world. Even in the church, it's like our mindset is for the good of all.
But it's not.
It's not.
But it's not at all.
Especially when you're not even dealing with yourself.
It's for the good of you.
We're the disciples these days.
You put yourself first. That is, self-preservation is the most natural fight or flight response that you could have as a human being. You put yourself first. It's to the point where if you're on an airplane, and there's reasons for this, I understand. But what do they tell you? If you're on an airplane and the bags drop, what do they tell you to do?
Put it on first.
Put it on first. You're trained to put yourself in front of everyone else. That is the fallen nature of man.
Why is the church still doing this if it's the fallen nature?
The church doesn't know their husband. It's just, it's so simple. Everything that's wrong with us is so simple to fix it. Just go back to your first love. But some of us have never had a first love. So maybe meet your first love, or I don't know, however you want to say that. We're so far off course that we have to do something. And then everybody's, well, what do we do? What do we do? Go back to your first love.
You know what I've been doing lately? I suck at praying. I'm like,
I don't even know what that means. How can you suck at praying?
It's just like, sometimes it feels like you already know what I'm thinking. Why am I talking? You know what I'm saying? And so it's like,
maybe you've been praying wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
That's not all that praying is.
I feel like I also pray in my mind without speaking.
Fair enough.
And then I also just think, you know, so it's like, Paul was talking about pray without ceasing.
Sure.
You know, all day long. And it's hard for me to always stay in a mindset of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have been doing lately,
I would think everybody would have that. I think most people are going to have that same thing. Okay. You know?
I don't know.
So you're not
I figured that was weird, but that's good. We're all weird.
Dude, if the church prayed, we'd be in a different spot. That's a fact.
You know what has been putting me in a different spot is that I've been, usually I'll pray as I'm doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? As I'm whatever, you know, but I've been making it a point to go into the closet and humble myself. Even though I think I'm usually pretty humble. Like, which, sounds like a prideful thing, but I mean, I know me.
I get it.
I know where I put myself on the ranking of everyone around me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think there's different areas that we might pick up pride that we don't recognize.
Absolutely.
And I've been intentionally bowing down and humbling myself and asking God, or telling God, I don't want to live for me. There's no point. And it's so strange kneeling down in a closet thinking about the day ahead. How the heck is God going to live through me? I don't know what that looks like except for what I've seen, but it's so different than anything I've seen.
Yeah. But I heard this song that said, I stop all negotiations with the God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you were. He's bigger than we thought he was. He's able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than we could ever ask or imagine. It's easy for God to do the things that we stress out about. It's easy. Everything that I'm worried about, God is not worried about. He is so far concerned with all those things. Rent, that's a layup to God. I created the world. What's $500, $1,500? We stress out about things that really aren't God's heart. We worry about things we
constantly distracted.
Constantly, anything and everything. But you know what God's worried about? God's worried about that guy that you walk down the street next to that doesn't know him. That's what God's worried about.
We're so consumed with ourselves that we don't see the needs around us.
God doesn't care about your gift. God doesn't care about your ministry. He doesn't care about what job you're doing. He cares about souls. He'll give you any position as long as you'll reach souls. God doesn't care if you have a multi-million-dollar ministry. God doesn't care about that stuff. God cares about people. God cares about the heart of people. He doesn't care about what job am I working, or my career, or my status, or how well this did, or how bad this did. He doesn't care about that. And we shouldn't either. And when we started caring about it, that's when me and you started disagreeing, and then I went down the street and I built my own place. We just care about things that we shouldn't care about. If we started caring about souls and people experiencing God, we'd have so much less trouble. Doesn't mean that the troubles will go away. It just means we wouldn't be fighting about the stupid stuff that we fight about and worrying about, is God, and I'm not making fun of you, is God going to live through me? Don't take offense to this. That is a dumb statement. God is using you in ways that you can't even see. You're blessing people and you don't even know what it means to them. But since you're worried about that, that'll hinder you from being present in the moment. And God wants to reach John. I'm just throwing a name out there. God wants to reach that guy at the gas station. God wants to reach, but we're too busy worried about how am I going to pay the rent, or what is my life going to matter, or these questions that are already answered for us. Your life has purpose. God made you. If you woke up this morning and you're still alive, there is a plan. God's got a plan. So why are we continually playing this thing in our mind of, what's my thing? What if we just worried about what God was worried about? What if we were worried about going out and reaching people and doing what he called us to do, which is make disciples, baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, teach them to obey all that he's commanded. Why don't we focus on that? And like, we're leagues away from where we need to be. And that's not a judgment. I love the church. I love the bride of Christ. I don't want to speak bad about the bride. But man, we're so far away, and we care about all these things. And like how many of those people can go through a storm and not be shaken to the core? Or when something happens, all of a sudden they don't believe in God anymore. Or all of a sudden their whole entire world is rocked and you don't see them for 3 months because they're going through something. We're the people that love Jesus, that want the things of God above everything else. That's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. I'm just tired of dealing with all this trivial stuff and putting so much energy and attention on this stupid stuff that doesn't matter, that doesn't produce any fruit in my life, and putting so little on stuff that would just elevate to the millionth degree.
That's good, man. That cut my heart.
You know, I want people to live you think Jesus was worried about that stuff? You know, I want people to live like free, not worried about that stuff. So that's why you and I see so many deliverances. That's why there's so many demons in the church. So worried about all this stuff, consumed with all this stuff. You know?
You know, I was thinking, you know, a lot about ideology and deliverance and stuff. And I don't even know what's going to happen next week when Will comes. I mean, he's seen a lot of deliverances, and there's some stuff that I've seen and experienced and that he's seen and experienced that's like, what was that? But, you know, I've been reading Dostoevsky, and I'm starting to understand one of the themes that he's putting forward is that he kind of sees people getting infected by ideologies as if they were demons, like demons roaming around the town. And instead of jumping in people and doing demonic, you know, what we would call, you know, demonic stuff, evil stuff, they're just shifting their mindset to conform to an ideology. You know, another thing that Matthew and Trey, when we were talking afterwards, we were talking about the word culture. The word culture
has the word cult in it.
It is.
Yeah.
And we were like, so we're all part of a cult. Does the cult, you call it a cult because it's small, you know, but you don't think about the culture as one giant cult, but it is.
But it is.
So what cult do you belong to? Because you're in a cult and you do have an ideology.
Yep.
And is it producing fruit?
Nobody knows.
If it's not producing the fruit, then, you know, also another thing that we talked about a while back, because I've been delivered of demons before, but I've also been delivered of mindsets that were as powerful or more powerful than a demon.
Sure.
So it's like, I don't know the big difference, and this guy was seeing it as if like demons were roaming the town, just depositing ideologies in people.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily depositing ideologies. It can be. You know, Paul talks about don't be swayed by wayward philosophies, genealogies. He also talks about the doctrine of demons. That's a powerful one. There is demonic doctrine out there. There is demonic beliefs. That thought had an origin, and there's only two origins. There's life and there's death. So which one, you know?
I think doctrines of demons and ideologies that are lies, because there's only one truth.
Mm-hmm.
And if your ideology, if your framework of seeing the world doesn't line up with the truth,
Mm-hmm.
then you got a doctrine of demons.
Absolutely.
Now, I would say that's worse than being possessed by a demon.
Can be.
Because it's like, if you're possessed by a demon, yeah, it's a pretty sucky situation, but you could get that demon cast out of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not you.
Right.
The problem with the ideology is that we identify with it.
Well, I mean, that's the issue with demons. I mean, look at demons that take a long time to cast out. A lot of people have had agreements and ties and trauma and all this stuff that they believed lies, and that's what has held them in a demonic bind. It's the same thing with mentalities, and the only difference is a lot of times people can, I mean, if you're possessed by a demon, people might not notice it's a demon, but they definitely notice something's going on with this person. They're acting crazy. Whereas a mindset, if a lot of people have the same mindset, it's going to go undetected. You're not going to be able to decipher, and especially if you're, when you start mixing the Bible with certain things, and Christians, there's a lot of Christians that believe a lot of unbiblical stuff.
Yeah.
It's just the name of the game. They haven't read the Bible, so they don't know. They're following, and they'll say, you know, you could tell who's, you could tell who's
there's life and there's fruit.
Yeah. You could tell who's got fruit on the tree.
Yeah.
And you can what's the word I'm looking for? You can tell by how they talk. You can tell by how they walk. Something's going on. You know, people who've been in the fire, they walk different, and they smell different, and they talk different. And that's just...
Yeah, it seems like it's... I don't think we're living in like a simulation, but the Matrix is such a great...
representation.
Yeah, it really is, because it's like all the people that are in the Matrix that are plugged up, you know, in those farms, they're walking around. They have no idea what's going on around them. They're trapped in a simulation that they think is real. The most important things that they encounter are in that dimension.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this whole other dimension.
Yeah.
A war that's going on.
Yep.
And people are getting taken over and used for that war.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's right.
Yeah, it's like it's a spin image, you know, which is it's so weird, like how a movie like that can so accurately portray what's going on here.
Well, it's interesting that it struck such a chord with people. You know, it's one thing to be in a simulation like the Matrix. It's another thing to be in the Matrix, realize you're in the Matrix, and then want to get out of the Matrix, not know how to get out of the Matrix, then acknowledge that there is a Matrix. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if you're like the people in the movie and you're just living your life. Okay, great. It's another thing when a piece of art opens your mind in a certain way to, like, what if everything that I've been living is a program, down to the very air. Like even Agent Smith said, it's the air. Like the air is the Matrix. Like, it's not real. It's not what it appears to be. And I mean, that is the world.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how you can even know that you're in a simulation, so to speak. And we do this thing where, like, awareness means that you've actually done something, which isn't true. So it's like, oh, well, I'm aware that I'm in a matrix. Okay, well, get out of it, you know? Get out of, unplug yourself. Like, but you can't. You can't unplug yourself from the matrix because it's everywhere. It's in everything.
You have to be pulled out.
Somebody has to come and save you. from it.
You know, one of my favorite scriptures is in Ephesians. It's talking about the love of Christ that passes knowledge. What I thought was so interesting about that verse was that the way that it describes love, it first says, so like, let's consider geometry, right? You got a point, right? If you want to generate to the next dimension, you're going to extend that point on a line, right? If you want to generate to another dimension, help me out here. Pull that into a plane. You're going to generate, right? Now it's got a plane, right? If you want to generate into another dimension, now you're going to lift it, right? And now we got a box here, right? So the breadth, the width, the height, but then the depth. So we went 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3. We're all in this 3-dimensional realm, right? But then there's the depth that supersedes that.
Yeah.
That supersedes everything that's 3-dimensional. Like we were saying earlier, the spirit realm is the real world. This 3D realm is what's nested inside of it.
So what's the depth?
It's a love that passes knowledge.
What does that even mean?
Right? It means that you can't understand, like for instance, when you are squeezed and instead of people seeing you get angry and pissed and cussing people out and blowing up, they see, hey, you know what? It's all good. I love you. It's like, wait a second. That's that black cat walking past and then walking past again. It's like, wait a second. This doesn't happen in the Matrix. The situation that you were just in, no lucid human being would have reacted that way.
Sure.
And it wasn't fake. What was inside you what came out of you just now?
Well, see, you must understand, so you wanted to go there, that the people at the top, right, they don't want that.
Who's they, though?
See, we don't know. We don't fully know who they are. But I'll tell you this. They're running things, right? Maybe they're bankers. Maybe they're politicians. Maybe they're media conglomerates. I don't know. I don't know who they are. I
think that they're loosely connected via the spirit of Antichrist.
And they all love power, and they all love control, and you could go on. And point is, there is a reason why the Bible is banned in 52 countries. Why? Why is that? Why are some of the most powerful governments in existence banning Christianity and not banning other things, other certain things? And any ideology that promotes freedom, that promotes a higher plane than them, bad. And there was book by Illuminists that were written in like the 1969, I can't remember it. But I read this excerpt, and it was like, they're going to replace the worship of God with the worship of man in his mind.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about what the Bible says.
Yeah.
But the devil doesn't want you to get to start to prod about the love of God. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want you to prod around your Bible. He doesn't want you to start asking questions, to start believing things, to start seeking. He doesn't want that, you know. So everything, I just went out to the club district in Orlando to evangelize. I'm not trying to glorify what we did, just saying everything in that environment is designed so that they can't hear the gospel. Everything from the music that they play, the outfits that they wear, the stuff that people eat and drink, it is all designed with you in mind so that you would not experience God. That's a fact. That is a fact. And anybody with half a spiritual understanding can see that.
You know, I had a really crazy experience downtown Orlando with a couple of friends. We went out just to hang out.
Sure.
And as we were like walking, there's some areas that's just like lined with bars and clubs, and then the street, there's no cars, it's just filled with people walking. So we're walking down the street, stopping and praying with random people, praying for healing.
Sure.
You know, telling them about the gospel. And we're walking and we're going to another location. I passed by this guy that's preaching. And so I put my hand out to like, you know, hey, cool, you know, just, and he pulled his hand back. And I was like, what's up, man? You don't want to dap me up, shake my hand or something? And he's like, well, why would I do that? I don't know you. I'm like, okay, I was just saying, hey, cool, you're out here preaching the gospel. And he's like, well, what are you out here doing? You're out here partying. And I was like, you think you're going to reach people with that attitude? I'm over here like on your side, and you don't even want to be on my side. Like,
sure.
I'm out here having fun. We just went to the bar. We had a couple of drinks, and we're walking around and we're praying for. I didn't tell him this, but I'm just like, I'm shocked. This man is out here, like it's like he was planted there to make sure people don't want to talk about Jesus.
Well, I mean, the gospel is translated good news, and some of the news that I've heard out there, it's not very good news.
No.
I must say.
It's like that psychological thing about getting that money. He really wanted people to raise their hand and start giving him money.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how can I get people into heaven?
Well, we're Christians, so you know.
I gotta tell them about how sinful they are and that they're gonna go to hell, and then maybe they'll want to go.
But
to
see,
heaven.
most like you don't. Do you know what makes people thirsty?
Seeing love.
No, but like, do you know how to make somebody thirsty? Is you drink around them. How to make somebody hungry? You ever been chilling, like just chilling, like straight chilling, and somebody comes in the room with the most delicious smelling food you've ever smelled, and all of a sudden you went from I'm chilling to I could literally eat everything right now. That's what the gospel should be.
That hot food.
It's that good food. Wow, I didn't even know I was hungry till I smelt that food. Some of the gospel is not good news, man. People know that they're messed up. People know they're jacked up. They get it.
There's a thin layer of facade that's put on. In front of every person.
Yeah, but it's self-righteousness that sometimes people preach in self-righteousness. And here's the thing. I got to say this. Where's the camera at? I'm going to look right at it. Here's the thing. All right? I get it. I'm a young guy. Some of you might be a little older than me, might have a little bit more life experience. God bless you. Here's the thing. People who stop learning die. If you can't adapt and understand where you're at, you're going to decay. And some of the things that used to work, they don't work anymore. And some of the things that work now, 10 years, 20 years, they're not going to work anymore. And you got to be hip and savvy. You got to be wise as a serpent. And some of these people, and can I just be honest, because I'm in church a lot, and some of these people, and it's not just old people, it's not just older people, but it's people who adopt a certain way of doing things because they've seen it work. Hey, listen, just because something works doesn't mean you can't do it better. And it also means, and just because you've done it for 30 years doesn't mean you need to keep doing it.
Right.
It is not. Some people preach the gospel out of comfort. They're preaching what they're comfortable with. They're preaching out of. Some people just want to school you, man. That's just the truth. Some people just want to take you to school. And the truth is that some of those people, not every one of them, because it's not fair to say that, but some of those people, man, they've had an angry God experience. And that's what they project on their gospel that they preach. Is this angry God, because you know what? They're angry. Their life sucks. Their kids are messed up. Their work's not going right. They're not where they wanted to be. So their good news is angry. And Jesus was a lot of things, but Jesus wasn't angry. You know who Jesus got angry at?
The Pharisees.
The Pharisees. Uh-oh. I've never seen Jesus get angry at just the common guy.
Yeah, if anything, it was like, come on, man.
In fact, he loved them. He'd have compassion on them. He healed the sick. The people he'd get mad at were the people that were supposed to know, but they didn't. Jesus hates when people who have knowledge and power use that power to keep people from the Father. Jesus hates that.
Yo, if Jesus came through in the flesh right now, just another little intermission, and went to a lot of these churches, it'd be awkward, to say the least.
No, they wouldn't know who he was.
They would have no idea.
Francis Chan said if Jesus opened a church, nobody would go to it.
I don't know about that.
They wouldn't know it's him.
What about the fruit?
What about the fruit?
I'm sure he'd be walking around just living life and encountering people. I mean, honestly, I think that's the organic way that churches should start. It shouldn't be like, hey, let's go get a building. Now I'm going to start preaching every Sunday. It's like, how about you live life? How about you just be? You just, as you go, you do what the scripture says and you live it out. And you're going to come in contact with people that are going to want what you have. And then eventually it's like, hey, we got to start meeting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, with the thing about the trying to enroll people in Christianity, it's like,
yeah, but they're lying to people. They're not telling people the whole truth. It's not fair. You have a bunch of people that are sold a half vision. They're only told the half stuff.
What half?
It depends on it depends on who's preaching to you. If it's that guy on the street, you only get the God, you're going to go to hell if you're a sinner. That's all you get from his message. Some of the other message, because they didn't like that message, now they went, well, God's love, and God just loves you. There's a fine line between God loving you and what is being allowed to happen. So here's the thing. A lot of people that I've encountered, this is personal experience now, so I can't say this is how it is for everyone.
Uh-huh.
A lot of Christians that I've encountered, they have not, we're saying these terms. We're saying terms like baptism. We're saying terms like salvation. We're saying terms like healing and reconciliation. And we're saying all these terms. Deliverance. And nobody knows what the heck we're talking about. No, seriously.
I know.
They don't know a single thing about what you're talking about. You can say these words. You've been reconciled to the Father. That is scripture. Nobody knows what that means. What do you do then? And the sad truth is that most people, they don't understand that this is an all or nothing thing. They don't understand that
you gotta die.
You gotta
be
die.
Resurrected.
You gotta die. You gotta
be resurrected to his life.
Is that what you want? You know what Jesus would ask people? What do you want from me? Be it as your faith stated. You know what I'm saying? Let it be like what your faith has stated is what he'd say most of the time. Like he'd be like, what do you want? What do you want to happen? What do you want this? Is this something that you want? And we're so consumed with getting these phony salvation numbers for your church to look good, that you're not even asking people, is this what they want? Do you want to give up everything in your life and follow Jesus with your whole heart? Because if not, we love you, you know, like I don't wish ill upon you, but this isn't for you. Why have them sit in church for 20 years to figure out that they don't actually want to serve God? But it's because they're being sold this half dream of, God just loves you. Just say a prayer. Just say this prayer and everything will be great. It's not great. It's not great. When you accept Jesus, your life will probably start going downhill very fast.
You got a target on your back.
You got people gunning for you. Like it's not a game. You just got inducted into the army. Like welcome, like somebody just handed you a rifle. Welcome to the fight, son. Let's go. Like people don't know that, huh? What do you mean? No, dude, you gotta die, man. Nah. This ain't like a club membership thing. Like you got a
subscription.
You got a card that lets you into the building. Mm-hmm. No, this is a war. We're in a war. And so, like, they're being sold this thing, man, and they don't know what it is, and people aren't telling them on purpose so that they stay. Why would you want them to stay? Why are you doing this disservice to people? It boggles my mind. I told a group of, like, middle schoolers I got the privilege of leading worship with. I was, like, about 150 of them. I might be blowing that up. It was 100 to 150 of them, jam-packed. Listen, if you don't want to serve Jesus with your whole heart and you don't want this thing, just go home. Just go home, dude. It's just gonna be better for you. You don't have to walk this line and pretend and check off all these boxes that don't exist. Just go home. Live your life. Do you, boo. Just go ahead. Nobody's gonna be mad at you for that. But don't sit and pretend. Don't sit and pretend. And if you have influence, if people listen to you, stop selling these people a half gospel. Stop giving them a half gospel message. Because they sit there for years thinking that it's one thing and it's not. And it just does everybody a disservice. This is a fight. You are denouncing the devil and every work of darkness and every work of carnality. And you're going
the cult of your generation.
The cult. And what is that? We don't know, you know. What is that? What does that mean? You're denouncing it. You're saying I am separating myself from that. Is that what you want? If not, I love you, but don't play pretend. I don't need your number. And that's the thing is we've needed people's numbers. We've needed people to attend. Why? Why do you want people to attend and listen to that? Listen to some fake thing that doesn't exist.
I don't know, man. I don't know why people do it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't want to live a fake life. I don't want to. I've lived fake.
So have I.
I've lived where it's like I don't want people to know. Remember, it was like the second time that I met you, and I was over there, and I'm like, bro, I'm slacking on music, and I'm like at the point where I'll make music for the glory of God, but I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be known. I don't want to be in people's attention. I want to live on an island somewhere and not have to deal with anybody, and no one sees how I live, and no one watches my life.
Yeah.
And man, you cut me up that day, because what if God wants to use me? And I'm like, even like
you're wrestling with that now.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a hard one.
It is. It's. I don't enjoy being in front of cameras.
I don't
and
either.
That everybody that can tune into my Facebook can hear me say what I'm saying right now.
Yeah,
it's really uncomfortable.
I know. I don't like it either. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. So why the hell would I do this?
Why not?
It's important.
There you go. You would be the one that God would choose to do it anyway. Because you're not gonna want to seek. You're not gonna turn that into something. You know. I've had to take that journey. I wasn't always like that. But now I find myself more and more like, ugh. I really don't want to be known. It's almost like avoiding it. Oh, that's weird. But
yeah. Cause it's like, it's the same reason why I usually don't wear Christian clothes and put a Jesus sticker on my car. Cause sometimes I be driving crazy. And sometimes I'm at T-Mobile like, yo, y'all need to figure this out. Cause this was on you. Right. Not me. Not me. I'm doing my part. I'm paying my bill. I did everything that I'm supposed to do.
That's a sermon.
You lied. You need to fix this. Well, I personally, you got to call the number. Lying? Okay, I call the number. Well, you got to talk to the person at the store. Who's going to take responsibility for this?
Nobody.
And I got to do that with the Jesus shirt on? Bro, so that's what I'm saying. Like, now I'm getting to the point where I'm beginning to become more integrated.
But if you act different with a Jesus shirt on than you do when you don't have a Jesus shirt on, then
that's why I'm like, I'm not going to wear a Jesus shirt because I don't want to be in that predicament. But now I'm at the point where I went to T-Mobile and I spoke to people on the phone for hours, bro. And I did not, evil, anger, rage, frustration, that didn't come out of me. I had compassion for the people on the phone. I had compassion for the people at the store. Yeah. I still had to go through the whole situation. Sure. Hey, this is what's going on. Sure. But the thing is, man, last time I had a problem with the phone with Sprint sucked, bro. I'm glad that they don't exist anymore.
Oh, Jesus.
Thank the Lord that they don't exist. Unfortunately, I think T-Mobile is having to.
Well, they took over Sprint.
Yeah, so. And they're trying to integrate. And you need to just forget everything that Sprint ever did. Just do T-Mobile. Just be T-Mobile. Yeah. But man, I was in the Sprint store, and
you lost it.
I was very frustrated. I didn't really go off, but the guy in there did. And this man picked up a computer monitor to hit me with it. Oh. All the other employees had to hold him back. Oh. But I was ready to fight though. Oh. With my wife and my son right there. And my wife's like, are you serious, Zach? Are you for real? I'm like, bro.
What's up?
What's up? Hey. You're going to do this in your store with the cameras.
What's up? Hit me.
In the cameras.
I want to see
Let's go. Let's go.
With the cameras.
With the cameras. Let them record this whole thing. And bro, like, after that whole situation, my wife was like, she couldn't be in one accord with how I was acting. And I was pissed. I'm like, you could have just had my back. Why didn't you just have my back? Well, because I was tripping, right? I expected her to go into the... Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I was like, hey, at the very least, for future reference, so that we don't have problems, don't
just
try
support me in public.
Yeah, just support me in public. That'll help.
Even if I'm wrong, support me in public, please. And we'll talk about it later.
Yes, and we can figure it out, and we'll correct everything afterwards. But I was... So like I was so like, man, that was not me. What just came out of me to where this man picked up the freaking computer monitor to hit me with it? Wow. I'm like, that's not normal. And I don't know what the heck was going on with him. But there was a lot of pride in that room. A couple of big heads. So I had to leave the store. You know what I'm saying? They were going to call the police and everything. And I was like, call them, get the camera. You know what I'm saying? Roll the clip. I didn't, I could be very sarcastic and I could be very rude. And that's...
You'd probably be very good at it.
I'm very good at it.
Artists are good, dude. I got a wicked mind.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Oh, man. I had this one situation in high school. This guy was bullying my... Gosh, she was kind of a girlfriend at the time. And he was just a jerk. You know what I'm saying? And but he was pretending like he was gonna fight and stuff. I'm like, nah. And then, so during lunch, I went down and sat at the table with him with his friends, and I was like, "What's your boy's name?" because he didn't want to talk to me. What's your boy's name? And his friend didn't. Oh, you don't even know his name. Your buddies here don't even know your name. Well, I don't know why you're so bothered. Why you gotta bully people? It's probably because you got a small penis.
Oh,
and you
no.
You just have.
You did that?
You probably
Oh,
don't have
no,
a father
Zach.
at home, and like.
Oh, you did all that.
All of it, bro.
Oh, you did the whole sensitive
thing,
thing.
and he was just like
Eee.
stuck. No one at the table said anything, and I was like, "But it's cool. If you got a problem, just come talk to me." And I left. And bro, when I went home, I was like, "Bro,
Yeesh.
I could. Maybe he could have killed himself, bro. Like, I could be really, really horrible."
Yeesh.
And I'm like, but that's not me, man. So I went back to that Sprint store, and they're like, "Nah, man, nah." Like, I'm like, "Hey, look, I'm not here to fight. Look, I am here to apologize. I'm sorry." And the man that was gonna hit me with the computer monitor, I went to shake his hand, and he had Jesus tattooed on his arm. I'm like, you and I acted like this in public,
Interesting.
knowing that we both represent Jesus. Something's got to change. And I told him that, and I'm like, I left the store, and I'm like, I cannot believe that just went down.
Well, maybe that's why people don't. Maybe that's why people don't want to rep like that. Because if you rep it, you got to live it.
That's right.
So, and people don't like accountability. So it's like,
But also, if you just rep it and you screw up and keep growing, it's a testimony.
Why do you think people are so afraid of that? Like messing up. I know I am.
I don't
like
want to
messing up.
I don't want to make my religion look fake.
Yeah, but that is like you're almost putting yourself as God in that situation. Like all of Christianity hangs on whether you get mad or not. Like that's just like it's absurd to think about, but that's really what we do.
Yeah, but it's like somebody might look at me and be like, "That's how Christians act," and go home and be like,
but if
"What
that's
about that do I want?"
But if that's what they say, right? If that's really what they say, then number one, Christianity probably isn't like that. So that's not right. But we have to take that pressure off of ourselves of like, that's why people don't go out and evangelize. That's why people don't do what they do, like what they're supposed to do, because they're so afraid of what people are going to think. Well, if I say this wrong, am I going to end Christianity? Which is, again, a good heart. There's nothing wrong with that heart. But it's like you are not responsible for how that person responds, good or bad. I can't do anything about what you're going to respond to. If I say something and you freak out, that's not my fault.
Right.
I may have had something to do with it, but at the end of the day, the power is in the hand of the responder.
Yeah.
So what if they say that, then they don't want the gospel anyway. They don't. That's not what they want. And what you displayed wasn't the gospel. So if they don't want that, then that's probably a good thing, right? I don't know.
I just wouldn't want Jesus' name on that situation. That's why it was a mind-blowing moment when I shook that man's hand. And we both have Jesus tatted on our arm.
That's deep. Yikes.
But the beauty of it is I go to T-Mobile and I'm a different human being.
Yeah.
Like, there was a couple of moments when I was like...
Without that moment, maybe, this is how God works. Because, like, he'll let the Sprint moment happen for all the T-Mobile moments to come. He'll let the Sprint moment, you almost get a monitor thrown, you almost fight the employee, and then you realize now sometimes that's the depth. The depth of the love of God is sometimes he lets that happen so that next time you're in T-Mobile and you want to go off, you remember that moment at Sprint where you're like, you know what? I didn't represent Jesus. Now it's in your mind. You feel what I'm saying? And sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes the rooster crowing 3 times. And you saying, I don't effing know this guy. That's what Peter did. I don't effing know this guy. I never ever saw this guy in my life. Just so that he could stand up and say, these men aren't drunk. It's only 9 a.m. They're filled with the Holy Spirit. This is what the prophet Joel prophesied. It took that to get to that.
That's a different man right there.
It's a different man. But he had to go through that. He had to weep bitterly. He had to look at the face of Jesus and just know that he messed up.
Yeah. I tell you, man, I'm blown away by the transformation that's taken place on the inside of me. Where I used to be very quick to respond in pride, very quick to defend myself, my honor.
Yeah.
And just how I've seen myself act in these situations, and then being put in almost identical situations and seeing the fruit of the Spirit of God come out of me. It's what makes me think I might just rock the Christian shirt now.
Maybe. Hey.
They gotta look dope though, because a lot of the Christian clothes look like, yo, you buy the Christian clothes in the church in their little bookshop.
But maybe is that a reason why CHH doesn't really work sometimes? Because everybody's got a clothing line now. But is it good? Like, just because you can do something doesn't mean it's contributing.
Yeah.
You know, I want my music to contribute to something. Yeah. I want it to reach the very depths of the soul of the listener. I don't even know if I wanted to go that deep. Me personally, I want to pose a question.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question that only Jesus can answer.
That's good.
Like what is this? Why is this? What's going on here? Oh, well, it's my presence. Here, let me come on in, and we'll talk about it.
You know what I'm excited about?
Talk to me.
This song that we're working on,
dude. That song is fire.
Is one of the.
That was one of the hardest lyrics I've ever had to write in my whole life.
For real?
That chorus was hard.
Why?
It's talking about my dad. That's a very touchy subject for me. Because I'm still not all the way. I still don't know how to feel sometimes about all that stuff.
I think a lot of people can relate to that lyric. I cry to that song, bro. All we have is a chorus.
It's so I hate sharing my heart like that, because most people don't appreciate when you do that.
But if one does,
I know. I'm saying, that's just me. That's not right.
To get that naked and everybody just kind of pass over.
Like, oh yeah, it's just one of the biggest things in my life. Like, no worries.
That's healing for you. This song is healing for you.
This time in my life has been healing for me in that regard. I've heard things from my father he's never said to me my whole life. He said in the last year. So it's big.
That's about the same time. I mean, you remember the long conversation that we had, and what this song came out of. That we just need encouraging fathers.
Yeah.
You know, I was dealing with my son, and discipline wasn't working the way and I just started telling him, I believe in you. I know that you'll make the right choice. And he does. Just the little encouragement that I give him. You know, he encourages me. He comes up to me, he's like, you're so amazing. I'm like, what? The first time he said that to me, I'm like, how did you come to that conclusion? And he encourages his mom. Hey, mom, it's gonna be okay. He encourages. He's almost 3 years old, and he's encouraging people.
Interesting.
Just from the little encouragement that I gave him. And you know,
because monkey see, monkey do. We all want to be like our dad. Your dad is the first opinion of a man that you'll ever get. That's just fact.
I just want to be the greatest man for my son's sake. I want them, like, that's another thing that I think it completely changed my life, having children, because it's like the way that I live. Before it was like, yeah, it's a big deal, but now it's like, it's a life. It's somebody else's life that I'm messing with.
I wonder, I don't want to get sacrilegious, because the theologians will come out of the woodwork and say,
that's fine.
They'll say, oh, well, God doesn't need us. But I wonder, is there something in God that would say, I want to be good because they need me to be good?
I think that has a lot to do with it. In the beginning, we were created in his image. We were good just like him. Yeah. He has this ability to be aware of evil, but only acknowledge and choose good.
Well, evil is just everywhere he's not.
Right. And he's aware of it. It's not like he's oblivious to the chaos. He spoke order into the chaos and manifested the word of God. So it's like, we wanted the knowledge of good and evil. Because we know good. What's, good is everything that we see. But what's evil?
Well, it depends on what knowledge is. So,
well, Adam knew Eve and bore Cain and Abel.
Well, what kind of knowledge is that?
It's an interactive.
Precisely. So maybe God didn't want us to interact with evil. That was something that you could... Obviously, they had to know about the concept, or else it wouldn't have meant anything to them.
Well, you'll be just like God when they were already just like God.
Well, there had to be something to that, right?
I mean, what else is there?
I don't know. What did they think they would gain?
Right.
What did Eve think she would gain? What was the knowledge of good and evil supposed to be to them?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I think
good enough to
right on the, God wants to be good for us. Nate said something a while back, Pastor Nate Lightseeker, shout out.
Shout out.
I was asking this question, man. We were painting. I'm like, but why? Why would God choose me? That's what I don't get. Why? And then, he's like, but then the next day during service, he said something that was like, oh, it's like, you can't be a father without a child. You can't be a savior without somebody to save.
Yep.
You can't be provider if there's no provision.
Sure.
You can't be like, I don't know how to say that one.
What?
You can't be God without relationship.
Sure.
And so the way that he presents himself to us is for our good and for the good of the ones around us.
It's perfect.
I don't want my sons entangled in evil.
Sure. Well, what's interesting is like a son, to have a son means that you take ownership. Because there's a lot of biological fathers that aren't dads. Like you can be of the offspring or the DNA of someone, but they're not in your life. To be a father means to take ownership of, and God takes ownership of us. He doesn't create us and then leave us for some to be tossed to and fro by the wind. He takes ownership of the situation. He even says in I believe it's Isaiah, I am the God of calamity. He takes ownership of it. I'm the God of destruction, like of the seas. Like he's the one. It all. He'll own it. He'll own it all. He owns us. He owns. For God to call you and I sons, he has to own. He has to eat humble pie on the regular.
What does that mean?
I mean, dude, like you and I have privilege that people throughout history have only ever dreamt about having. We can walk right in to his presence. That takes a level of ownership that's beyond, like the level of responsibility that God takes on our behalf. That says, doesn't matter what you've done, doesn't matter where you've been, doesn't matter how many other lovers you've had, I'll take you back. Come on back. Open arms. I'll run to you. Come back. That's ownership on a level, like even a man who's taking somebody else's kids as his own doesn't even understand that. That kind of level of like, it's as if like it never happened. It's as if what you've done doesn't exist anymore. Just come right on in. Like it's absurd. That's the depth that we were talking about earlier. That's that depth. It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's beyond. It is beyond. It is the you know, the level of like. Have you ever met like maybe a Muslim or maybe a maybe just I've heard this specifically with Muslims and Hindus, people that have gotten saved from those religions, and the father coming to them, you're no longer my son. And that like, that's the detail that crushes their soul. My father came to me and said, I'm disowned. I'm no longer his son. Like that's the detail that sticks out in their mind.
Oh, you're talking about physical father.
Yeah, like their physical father disowns them and says, you're my biological seed, but you're not my son. Like the father does the opposite. He takes those who weren't his and makes them. The Bible, I mean, it's prophesied. Those who are not mine will call me mine. Like it's all through. Like those who are not my people will be my people, and I'll be their God. Like we weren't his people.
That's right.
It wasn't supposed to happen like that.
Or adopted. My wife was adopted.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What does that do to her psychologically? Does that?
It's like the survival framework from the jump. It's like needing to belong and there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It's like you're my mother, but I don't even look anything like you. You're my father, but I act completely different than you. but in not knowing where she came from and being brought into a family that was well off and was able to, I mean, her biological siblings get jealous and frustrated at the fact that she grew up well off. She knows what it's like to be taken in. Why? Why would they do that? Why would God do that? He must really value us. And I think, like, I know me, so I wouldn't place the value. I wouldn't trade me for the Son of God. I wouldn't do that. So why would he do that? Like, the value is what the highest bidder paid for it.
Yeah, you're right.
And he said, you're worth perfection being crucified on a tree to reconcile you back to me.
It just makes me think of, you know, I've abused that gift. I've abused the gift of God. I've used it for my own selfish gain. And I've said things like, oh, he'll forgive me. And he has. I think that the red pill to the Matrix is, and this is what people don't understand, is it's the response of God. It's the response of Almighty God, because his response would be the response, right? I mean, that's, if there was anybody who needed to respond, that would be the guy. And however he responds, that would be the response. And the way that he responds, it couldn't be accepted. Like, it just couldn't. It was so outlandish. It was so other that literally they killed him because of his response. His response to everything was, listen, the kingdom of God has come near to you. Come. That was his response. What were the Jews missing? That was what they were missing. They had the law, they had the words of God, they had the words of the prophets, they had the Psalms and the Proverbs. They had it in their hand. And they never got to the conclusion of, I don't understand. I need to get near to God. I can't live up to this. God, you need to come. And the few men that did get it, they lived different. They talked different. They talked like you and I. They didn't, I don't know.
He said, be hot or be cold. But to be lukewarm is disgusting.
I'll spit you out.
That doesn't sound like very good news, but it's like, I've lived life for me, and the reward is petty. And there's so much more to live for. But it takes me humbling myself.
Well, it's good news if you have perspective. Hey, because see, the perspective is, if you're lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth. That's the carnal perspective of the verse. The real perspective is, I don't have to be lukewarm. I get to not be lukewarm. If God says repent, that means that I have the ability to repent. If God says,
what does repent like? If John the Baptist came means saying repent,
yes.
the kingdom of God. What does that look like today?
It literally means to change the way that you think. That is the word for word definition. It means
detach
to
from the cult
literally
that you
go
live in.
from one direction to another. Boom, boom. That's what it means. Simple. It has a very negative connotation because of how people have preached it. It's this evil word now. This is a beautiful word. If God tells you that you can repent, if God tells you to repent, that means he's given you the ability to repent. That is good news. I don't have to live the way that I've been living. What does that look like today? I mean, gosh, it could look like anything. And the beautiful thing about repentance is it's not just doing the opposite to do the opposite. Right? Because everybody wants to do the opposite and go against the grain, but they want to do it just to do it. They want to do it just to stand out, just to be different. And that gets you nowhere. That gets you, it just isolates you. Right? Just being different for being different's sake is not a reason to be different.
Yeah. A billion ways to be wrong, one right.
Exactly. So it's like, what does repentance look like? It looks like going the opposite direction from where one person's going for the sake of the kingdom of God has come near, so I need to do something about that.
Yeah. Repent and turn towards God. Just be aware.
The Bible from Genesis 4 on through is all about God trying to restore man. There is a hidden call throughout the Old and the New Testament. It's in the Psalms, it's in the Lamentations, it's in the prophets, it's everywhere. And it's God saying, come back to me. Come back to me. Wherever you've gone, come back to me. It's woven throughout the law. It's woven throughout the songs and the poems and everything. It's woven throughout the oracles of the kings and the chronicles and everything. It's God saying, "Come back to me. Come back to me." And it's humanity pushing against that. And he just keeps making a way, and he keeps making a way, and he keeps making ways and ways, and finally he makes the ultimate way. And that's good. That's the good news. That's what we're talking about. You can come back to God. All of you whose souls have been longing for God, you can come back to him. He's made a way. Oh, there's a billion ways to be wrong and one way to be right, like you just said. Thank God he's made a way. Like, where's the perspective? Thank God he's made a way. And it's so easy. He's made it so easy for us. It is stupid easy to come to God. It is so easy. He's taken all the heavy lifting away.
How does it work?
How it works is you literally confess with your heart, or confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus Christ is Lord and died and rose on the third day. You repent, you change the way that you think and you're walking. You get baptized as a disciple. I mean, that's important.
This all sounds like such a strange way, like, God could have made it any other way. Like, we're this big group of people. We all see things differently. There's different religions and stuff, but it's like, why did God have to become a man, be killed, hung on a tree, the Holy Spirit sent, and that we have to believe that this man or God or both raised from the dead, and believing and confessing that changes our life. That's a strange story.
Unless you understand it or have some type of understanding, then it makes sense.
You could have picked any story.
Not really. In order to redeem something, you have to be of the same as it. You have to be, one of the names of God is the kinsman redeemer. You have to be of the same material to be redeemed. Right? In order to be patched up, so to speak, you must have the same cloth as what needs to be patched, so to speak.
Okay.
That's just an analogy. But
that's a good one.
So he has to become man. There's no other way. Man cannot reach God. The carnal mind, the Bible is very clear about this. The carnal mind is at enmity, or is an enemy of God. It hates the ways of God. It does not have the ability to comprehend the things of God. So in our fallen state, we don't have a single chance. We don't have a chance. We cannot reach God. God gives us the law to show us we can't reach. It was meant for us to cry out, we can't do this.
I feel my days go so much better when I am at that state.
I just can't do it.
I can't do it. I need you.
Well, that's been the whole point. I will be their God and they will be my people. No, we don't want that. Okay, well, I'll show you how life is supposed to be like to try and reach me. He just wants us to desire him. That's all. You see, it's such a simple motivation. God just wants us to desire him.
And he makes it easy because he's like...
Because he's good.
I was in high school one time and I was like, I had a real question. I was like, I know I'm supposed to love you, God, but I don't feel like I love you as much as I should. And he's basically like, it's all good because I am love. Hang around me. It's like, even the lack of desire for God, it's like, all right.
It's no match for God.
Start where you're at. Give him that.
If you have a desire to desire God, he can work with that.
Yeah.
I don't even desire you, God. I don't even want to read my Bible. I don't even want to pray, but I want to pray. Does that even make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he could work with that.
Yeah.
He could work with that.
As long as there's something in you that wants.
Yes.
Like, start there.
Yeah. He's always wanted to be your God. That is his desire. He's always wanted to be your God. He's always wanted us to be his people. It's what he's wanted the entire time.
It's not too late.
It's never too late.
What about after you die?
Then never starts. If you got breath, it's not too late.
That's right. Hey, you know what time it is? 10:19. Wow. Did we have any questions? I forgot to say in the chat. I said we might answer some questions. I don't know if I didn't say that though. I put it in the post.
Kara only has audio cutting in and out for anyone else. Pastor Nate said audio is fine.
He said what?
Your your wife said audio cutting in and out for anyone else. Pastor Nate said audio is fine.
Oh, okay. It might be her phone. She's got an iPhone. I'm just kidding.
And then Missy Johnson said, I don't think we really know who and what he is. Or do we really know who he is?
That's Mama.
That's a mystery.
Yeah.
I love
But
it.
that's the endless.
Mhm.
That's the endless relationship because he's endless, and it's like it really is glory to glory and faith to faith.
Mhm.
It really is. But you gotta humble yourself. You've got to humble yourself. You're not gonna get anywhere without that. You're not gonna
Facts.
make it without humility. Well, I think it's about time to wrap up.
Let's do it.
I really appreciate you, man. I appreciate you coming
My guy.
and talking to me. We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.
We talked about a lot of different stuff.
A lot of different stuff.
Yeah, and it felt like it was just shorter than it was.
I love it, man. Thank
That's
you.
okay,
Thanks
man.
for having me, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you. You could go ahead and hit that outro. We'll see you next week. Wilkins Gonzalez is coming through. We're gonna talk about casting some demons out of
It's
people.
gonna get nuts.
God bless you. And good night.